Justin Amash calls for impeachment. Democrats claim that abortion is good, and Trump storms out of a meeting. I am Stephen Hall, and this is the Americans Awful Recap.
Hey, you guys remember Barack Obama? I was his vice president. I'm Joe Biden. I'm Joe Biden.
On Monday, Justin Amash becomes the first Republican congressman to say that the president crossed the threshold for impeachment.
My principal conclusions. 1. Attorney General Barr has deliberately misrepresented Mueller's report. 2. President Trump has engaged in impeachable conduct. 3. Partisanship has eroded our system of checks and balances. 4. Few members of Congress have read the report.
To be clear, he has not specifically stated any legal reasons as to what Trump has done to make him impeachable. Amash also lives in a purple state, which gives reason as to why he's doing this to begin with. He is also now being called to run as a libertarian for president. Joe Biden is also on the campaign trail, and he says that Democrats don't want an angry candidate. They want unity.
Our politics today traffics in division, and our president is the divider-in-chief.
Oh, yeah!
Look, but he's not the only one, far from it. He's just the worst practitioner of politics that singles out, scapegoats, and demonizes. He holds out the other as a source of all their problems. You hear it. The immigrant, the Muslim, anyone different in creed or color or conviction, they're the problem. That's what he says. That's been the scheme used by unscrupulous politicians for decades. One America may be a simple notion, but it doesn't make it any less profound. This nation needs to come together.
Iran continues to threaten the U.S.
Don't want them to have nuclear weapons, and they can't be threatening us. I'm not one that believes, I'm not somebody that wants to go into war, because war hurts economies, war kills people, most importantly. You cannot let Iran have nuclear weapons.
Trump has spoken out against the Alabama abortion ban, trying to pull in more moderates.
Well, some White House advisors are worried that these restrictive state abortion laws are making Republicans seem extreme and could galvanize women and Democrats. And so President Trump's tweets are basically telling state officials who may be considering laws like Alabama with no exceptions for rape or incest to tone it down. A White House official told CBS News the president respects states' rights, but he would not assign that Alabama law.
Pete Buttigieg is another Democratic candidate who went on Fox News this week and it was asked about the growing debt that we face.
First of all, you don't blow a hole in the budget with an unnecessary and unaffordable tax cut for the very wealthiest. So part of it's do no harm, right? But there are also proactive steps we need to take. We need to be smart about spending, just as I have to be as a mayor. The city of South Bend doesn't have its own currency, so I don't get to print money in order to deal with the gap in the budget. We just have to figure it out. And I think we need a little bit more of that mentality in the federal government.
Bernie is also campaigning, saying that we need to have teachers. They need to be paid higher wages. His plan also includes ending school segregation and overall making schools safer.
To explain the disparity in Oreo rates, do you know what an Oreo is?
An Oreo?
No, not an Oreo.
On Tuesday, a court has ruled against Trump to release financial records.
It's totally the wrong decision by, obviously, an Obama-appointed judge. We had, I think, 500 people testified. We had 1.4 or 1.5 million documents. At the end of all of that, he said there's no collusion. Now what happens is the Democrats want to redo, and we've had enough, and the country's had enough. There has never been, ever before, an administration that's been so open and transparent.
The case is suggesting that Congress has no limits when it comes to finding out information about elected officials. Trump is also attacking Joe Biden.
And don't forget, Biden deserted you. He's not from Pennsylvania. I guess he was born here, but he left you, folks. He left you for another state. Remember that, please. I meant to say that. This guy talks about, I know Scranton, I know that. Well, I know the place is better. He left you for another state, and he didn't take care of you because he didn't take care of your jobs. He let other countries come in and rip off America. That doesn't happen anymore. Because we're going to make America wealthy again.
It's important to point out that Biden was 11 when he left Pennsylvania. Ben Carson was forced to defend removing illegal immigrants from public housing and mistaking Oreos for Oreo cookies.
To watch what happened in the White House would make your jaw drop.
On Wednesday, Democrats are now claiming that abortion is good. You have Cory Booker and Kristen Gillibrand now swallowing the mic pretty much, claiming that abortion is good.
This is the beginning of a long march. This is the beginning of President Trump's war on women. If he wants this war, he will have this war and he will lose.
They started by trying to defund Planned Parenthood, right? Then they move into trying to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act and that ban on pre-existing conditions. And now, in Alabama and Georgia, they try to completely ban the right to abortion. Are we gonna let them? We are.
I'm happy to see everybody here, but fellas, to all the men that are here, we must wake up more men to join this fight. And it's not because we have daughters and mothers and wives. It's because this is an issue for all people. It's about the rights of all people.
This week is also Infrastructure Week, which means that nothing will take place. Trump and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer had a meeting this week, and nothing turned from it.
Going well, and I said, let's have the meeting on infrastructure. We'll get that done easily. That's one of the easy ones. And instead of walking in happily into a meeting, I walk in to look at people that had just said that I was doing a cover-up. I don't do cover-ups. You people know that probably better than anybody. And I was just looking at a list of some of the things that we just did more than 2,500 subpoenas qualified for. And I let everybody talk. I let the White House counsel speak for 30 hours. 30 hours. I have 19 special counsel lawyers, 40 FBI agents. I said, open it all up. Let them have whatever they want. Nearly 500 search warrants. Think of that, a search warrant. Did you ever see a search warrant before? Neither did I. This was over 500 search warrants. And I think most of you would agree to this. I'm the most transparent president probably in the history of this country.
On Thursday and Friday, there's still a fallback from the infrastructure meeting. Nancy Pelosi still hasn't stated what Trump has covered up in the meeting. She has also called for impeachment now, which is a complete flip-flop from what she has been saying beforehand. Lauren Underwood is a Democratic representative that has suggested that children's death at the border is intentional.
With 5 kids that have died, 5,000 separated from their families, I feel like, and the evidence is really clear, that this is intentional. It's intentional. It's a policy choice being made on purpose by this administration, and it's cruel and inhumane. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
That's an appalling accusation, and our men and women fight hard to protect people in our custody every single day. We've asked for this resources 3 weeks ago. It hasn't been responded to by Congress, and we've asked for changes in authorities for the last 3 years that would have prevented this from happening.
Ilhan Omar, a Minnesota representative, has called out the religious right for being too pro-life while wearing an Islamic scarf.
Religious fundamentalists are currently trying to manipulate state laws in order to impose their beliefs on an entire society, all with complete disregard for voices and the rights of American women. The recent efforts, like those in Alabama, in Georgia, are only the latest in a long history of efforts to criminalize women for simply existing, to punish us when we don't conform to their attempts to control us. But because it's happening here with the support of the ultra-conservative religious right, we call it religious freedom.
On Friday, a police has found a body on Long Island that is a MS-13 gang victim.
We developed enough information to arrest the suspects involved with the first homicide here with Julio Esponza. Information started being obtained in these investigations that led us to believe there was a second person here in the preserve.
Last year, there were 335 gang arrests in Nassau County, and MS-13 killings are down.
This
war, if you will, that took place in 16 and 17, we recovered close to 11 victims, all most buried in shallow graves throughout Nassau County.
It's now believed there are no other victims left in the preserve.
The parks are safe. Come out, enjoy this beautiful weekend that we got in front of us.
Missouri is also now the next state to pass a abortion ban. Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks founder, has been charged.
The additional 17-count indictment alleges Assange and WikiLeaks have repeatedly sought, obtained, and disseminated information that the United States classified due to the serious risk. These new charges raise the stakes for First Amendment rights and prompts questions about protections for those who publish classified information.
The U.S. Health Agency has also proposed removing some protections for transgenders. The new rule is whenever you look at sex discrimination, you look at the biological sex, not the gender. It removes the requirements for people to perform sex changes or abortions if their religion disagrees with that. Well, that's all the news for this week. I'm Stephen Hall, and this is the Americans All For Recap.